Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Travel by the Book. I'm Julia Sun. Well, some 2,500 miles west of my home state, California, is an ensemble of islands. If you've never been there, I'm sure you have at least wanted to go. And if you have been there, I know that you wouldn't mind going one more time. You may call it paradise, we call it the Aloha State, Hawaii. Among the islanders, it is usually believed that the first group of settlers arrived as early as 1,500 years ago from Tahiti, which is known today as part of the French Polynesia in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The name Hawaii, unsurprisingly, comes from a Polynesian word. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not going to try. It's spelled Hawaiki. It means the place of God. Nowadays, 8 main islands make up Hawaii. The biggest islands is called Hawaii, just like the state, or simply the Big Island. It's twice the size of all the other islands combined. Visitors probably know Honolulu. It's a city, the capital city. It's well built, well modernized. Almost as many people live in Honolulu as in New Orleans. But Honolulu, of course, is not known for the modern vibe. It's known for the beaches, obviously. More than 100 world-renowned beaches surround the island that it's on. I have this one friend who grew up in Hawaii, and he says the wonder of Hawaii is not the individual landscapes, but it's how they come together at the same time. Beaches, sure. Are they pristine? Yes. But it's the chance of seeing the ocean on one side, then turn your head around and see a volcano in the other direction that makes Hawaii special. And speaking of volcanoes, Hawaii has a bunch of them because the main islands fall on the southeastern end of a volcanic chain that began to form once more than 70 million years ago, I think. The Mauna Loa is the largest volcano on Earth, and it's on the Big Island. It has erupted more than 30 times in the last century and a half, most recently back in 1984. So I guess we never would have gotten a chance to see it in action anyway, which is probably a great thing. But then there's the Kilauea on the same island, the Big Island. It's a younger volcano, but more active. In fact, it's one of the most active volcanoes in the world, and the third most active volcano on the island of Hawaii is the Hula. It's considered dormant because compared to the other two, it hasn't done much actually. It only erupted 3 times in the last 1,000 years, but that's okay. That makes the visits a lot safer. So on the island of Maui, the active volcano to know is the Haleakala. I'm saying it wrong. Haleakala. That's right. It also happens to be the world's largest dormant volcano. Let me stop here for 30 seconds, okay? There are basically 3 types of volcanoes in the world. The ones that are shooting up, the ones that are taking a nap, and the ones that are done. The ones that are shooting up, the active ones, they are in the process of erupting. The ones that are taking naps are within the category of active volcanoes. It's just that they've been lazy lately, but they have erupted since the Ice Age, which is approximately 10,000 years ago, give or take. Geologists call them dormant because they tend to think these volcanoes will shoot up again someday. When? Not sure, but they probably will. And the ones that haven't moved since the Ice Age, they're called extinct. You might ask, hey, what happens if an extinct, dead volcano shoots up again? Well, it's possible. In that case, the geologists, they call themselves volcanologists. They screwed up. Anyway, I hope you get to see one yourself. I highly suggest a hiking trip up the volcano onto the top. If you could pass the rim and descend a little bit once you're on the inside, then you may get to see the lava, like the real lava in orangey red. Make sure you wear the right shoes and the ones with the thick thermal insulating bottoms because the ground can get hot. When Mark Twain visited the Kilauea volcano back in 1866, he wrote, and I quote, "I turned my eyes upon the volcano again. The cellar was tolerably well lighted up. for 1.5 miles in front of us, and 0.5 mile on either side. The floor of the abyss was magnificently illuminated. Beyond these limits, the mist hung down their gauzy curtains and cast a deceptive gloom over all that made twinkling fires in the remote corners of the crater seem countless leagues removed, made them seem like the campfire of a great army far away. Here was room for the imagination to work. You could imagine those lights the widths of continent away, and that hidden under the intervening darkness were hills, rivers, and weary wastes of plain and desert. And even then, the tremendous vista stretched on and on and on to the fires and far beyond. You could not compass it. It was the idea of eternity made tangible, and the longest end of it made visible to the naked eye. Well, that was written before he became the Mark Twain we know. That was when he was trying to become famous. He was 31. He spent 4 months on the island back in 1866 writing for a California newspaper called the Sacramento Union. It's not around anymore. He wrote 25 letters from the islands. He called the islands the Sandwich Islands. That's how Captain James Cook called Hawaii when he first arrived in 1778. Mark Twain channeled that name. The 25 letters are published in a book titled Mark Twain in Hawaii, roughing it in the Sandwich Islands, Hawaii, in the 1860s. The letters are funny, still regarded as some of the best travel writings about Hawaii to this day. Now, I don't have a copy of this book with me right now, but Bookstr will put up a link, and we do that, and make sure you can find it online. All right, so what else is distinctively Hawaii? Last week, I was reading up on Hawaii as I was preparing for this episode. So this passionate lady came up to me and said, Julia, listen to me. You have to talk about hula. It's the essence of the native Hawaiian people. Well, I concur. Even though hula is deeply knitted into tourism, it actually has a religious origin. It's a Polynesian ritual dance to the goddess of, guess what? Volcanoes. So this lady, she lived in Hawaii for decades, told me that locals like to enjoy hula at this annual celebration called the Merry Monarch Hula Festival. It's one of the biggest cultural events in Hawaii for locals, a week-long dance competition in the town of Hilo, Hilo, begins on the day after the Easter Sunday and culminates on the following Saturday. Now, on Wednesday, there is a performance by hula artists not competing. They come from local hula schools, other islands, or sometimes other countries, like Japan. In the beginning, the Hula Fest was a mean to recover. Hilo, the town, was the worst hit area in the 1960 tsunami. On May 23rd, 1960, 61 people in this area tragically lost their lives. And shortly after the disaster, some elders got together and said, okay, we need to think of something for people to come here again, something unique, something easily recognizable. What would that be? Could it be pineapples? Hawaii grows 1/3 of the world's commercial pineapples. Or could it be coffee? Hawaii is the only state in the U.S. that plants coffee. Oh, what about macadamia nuts? They're abundant on the islands. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Let's go with hula. And yes, guys can dance it too. It's pleasant to look at, and while the visitors are here, they can have as many pineapple, coffee, macadamia nuts as they want while they drink on the beach or something. So you guys realize I haven't talked about the beach. It's just too obvious, but I do want to talk about surfing. Hawaii gave us surfing. The art of riding waves has the same Polynesian origin, but by now surfing, we can say, belongs to the whole world. Here's the book we picked out for this week, 2016 Pulitzer-winning nonfiction Barbarian Days, A Surfing Life by William Finnegan. It's an autobiography of the author himself, growing up in Hawaii, surfing in the lesser-known places. The difference is Hawaii is not a paradise for this guy. There's bullying, gang violence, racism, just like the rest of America and the world. And surfing became a way to cope with the unwanted realities. Although on some beaches where local teenagers go to, there is a strict pecking order on when and where you get to surf, the sport itself made life more tolerable. This author is definitely not the first person I can think of to call a sport an addiction. Eventually, he took his surfboard to the other continents, Australia, Asia, Africa. You know, experiencing the world, traveling, it's an addiction. So what? All right, my guest today is a surfer who has caught waves all over the world as well, Tom Murphy. He just came back from a surfing trip in Indonesia. He'll be joining us after the break. Do you guys have any questions for the guest or for me? If you write out your questions in the